Hello, hello. Happy Monday, everyone tuning in, whether you're on with me live or you're going to watch the replay. My name is Brianna Wilkerson from Made Well, which is a holistic health and life coaching practice designed to really empower others to be healthy and thrive in all areas of their life. So as a health and life coach, I really, in particular, empower women to really master their thoughts, their emotions, and their habits so that they can have the health and life they've always dreamed of. As an essential oils advocate, I really empower women as well to use non-toxic solutions like essential oils to care for their health and those they love. So I primarily work with women, though I have and do work with men from time to time, but I tend to just kind of resonate with women in many different ways for many different things. And if you've been journeying with me for the month of March 2018, we've been talking about really just the idea of being flawed and being enough. And this shows up in so many areas of our lives. And if we're really honest, affects and impacts almost every area of our lives. And I'm going to share some personal stories and kind of just give you the tips that I was kind of talking about, the 5 courageous steps. And I'm just going to frame it with saying that I'm glad you're here. Please make sure you share your name, and if you're following with me live, comment. If you are watching the replay, feel free to interact with me. But I'm also going to say that this idea of not enough is a journey. It is not something you necessarily arrive at. It is something that you will be working through for the majority of your life. But there is freedom, and there's breaking through. Okay, so I just want to share this in my group, and then I'm going to get started. So for those who don't know me, I kind of just introduced myself, but I'm going to kind of share with you my enough story and how that has showed up in my life. And then what I'll do is kind of help you define what enough is and some common terms like shame and guilt and enoughness, and then really ask you what areas of your life you struggle to feel like enough. And then 5 practical and courageous steps to shift that. And then I'll share a little bit at the end about my Flawed to Flourishing 6-month program where registration closes Wednesday, where we're kind of dealing with this and looking both mindset, emotions, and practically about how we can shift from, feeling like our life is flawed, it's not working, it's not enough, to really start flourishing in those areas. And so I'll kind of start with my story. So my enough story. When I was growing up in high school, I was overweight, and I don't think I really cared, to be quite honest, until I started doing sports, and I just started changing my way of eating and slowly shifted, and I lost a lot of weight. But what really impacted me at the time was when people really affirmed that weight loss and affirmed the beauty from that weight loss. Oh, you're looking good, and all those things, and that feels good if we're quite honest. But it started to make me think that I need to look a certain way to be accepted, to belong, to be affirmed. And although that is not true and was not true then, I, as a high schooler and a young person, and we still as women today, are looking to belong. And we're made to look to belong as well. But then what happened is Hurricane Ivan came in about, was it 2000 and... I can't even remember. My sister was 2004. She was 2. And things just changed. And luckily, none of my family was impacted. Like the island things shifted and things were damaged, but we were okay. But I went away for a bit, then came back and we lived in my grandparents' house because our house just needed a lot of work because of the hurricane. And but 2 of my really good friends left. And I live in the Cayman Islands, and it's a very transient society in the sense that a lot of people come here, work, live, and leave. And that's just the way it is. And I've met a lot of great people through that experience. But I think at that point, I had a friend who had left and came back, and I just felt like this change was too much for me to bear. I had a lot of good friends that had moved back, and my last kind of friends had left, and I was like, you know what? It felt very lonely. And how I dealt with this change, like not living in our house, like the change in scenery, is one, I became obsessed with exercising and obsessed with barely eating. And you put those 2 together, and that makes you could really borderline anorexic, and that's what happened for me. And after a while, it came to a point where someone said something that really made it to start to me to believe the belief that no matter what I did, no matter how I looked, I wasn't enough. They said, Brianna, you're too small now. Like, it's too... And I agree, looking back, I was way too small for my body structure. But in that moment, what went through my mind was, Brianna, you're not enough. And I said, what is going on? One minute I'm too big, I'm perfect, then I'm not, I don't even know. And the thing is that people's opinion will always change of you, but even your opinion may always change of you. And you need to come back to the point where no matter what, you stand on truth. Because your feelings, although they're an indicator and I think we need to lean into them, there is truth that we must always come back to and make sure that the truth is our belief. And that I wasn't believing truth. And eventually, different family friends was like, you should, see someone. So I started seeing a nutritionist. And I should have known the first meeting that something was really wrong when I saw the nutritionist and I started bawling. Because guess what? The food wasn't the problem. It was everything that was going on with me that I just didn't deal with. And still dealing with, right? You still got to grow and process these areas. But what happened is that end of high school, I was up to be valedictorian of my class, and I was then started to find my worth and value in what I did and how much I achieved. And I do believe achieving is one of my top strengths, but I believe it can be my greatest weakness because I could just overdo it and just, And so I went to food for comfort. So food was once a foe, now it was a friend. And it was something that it broke me because I felt a lot of shame. And I'm going to go define what shame is, but I felt a lot of shame that here I was, had lost all this weight, and then I gained it all back within a matter of few months. And of course, comments came from that, right? And so it really kind of it destroyed my sense of worth. And I don't know if I had fully found it yet. And I was a Christian at the time when I was searching to God, but I just felt like nothing was clicking. And that idea of being enough, went into college. I became valedictorian, all these things, but I'm going to tell you straight up, I achieved that, but I didn't feel like awesome about it because I'd worked so hard for something I really wanted, but it didn't fulfill me. And I think that's often what we're doing. We're not dealing with what's really going on. And feeling like enough, shame, and guilt, those are some emotions, but often other emotions are anger. Often other emotions are betrayal or unforgiveness, all these different things that we feel that show up in our thoughts and show up in our actions. And we're trying so much to fix our actions, but really we need to shift our thoughts and our emotions. And so I'm going to say when I went to college, joined in a varsity Christian fellowship, got to study who Jesus was for myself, things changed. I realized that for the first time in my life that God loved me and I was worth something despite what I did, and that His grace covered my shame and covered my mess. And so I confessed I struggled to some really trusted staff workers that I struggled in these areas, and over the course of years I transformed, and I'm still transforming. And it has been a journey of God teaching me that I am enough in ways that I'm still learning. And even now I was talking to some friends and fellow coaches today, and one area I really struggle to feel like enough is in relationships. Every relationship. I care so much, yet sometimes I get so upset when I could have done something or I did something, or it's we live in a fallen world, we live in sin. It's just, we hurt each other, right? Whether intentionally or not, but it's like that idea of perfection, that idea of enough, it has seeped into almost every area of my life. And I'm, rather than pushing it down and saying, no, I'm not going to deal with this anymore. No, it's time to deal with this because I haven't, right? And so as I've been journeying and talking about this through on my podcast and the freebie in my master class, and now talking about this program, stuff has come up and I've been dealing with it, ladies, guys, whoever's watching. Like, I have chosen to take the higher road and not run away and press in so that I can start to live this flourishing life that I long for. And it's been a hard season, a pruning, refining season, but I'm grateful for it. And so now I'm at the point that A lot of things have helped. Coaching, prayer, Jesus, family, friends, oils, all these things. But it is first me making the decision that I deserve to live a flourishing life where I feel abundant, where I feel enough because I am. And I have had to do the work of digging deep. And many of us have to, and many of us need to. And we need to press in, even though it's hard, even though it's vulnerable, even though it's scary. What's waiting for you on the other side is peace, is love, is freedom like you've never dreamed of. And you need to lean into the hard to get the good. So then what is enough? That's my story. And I feel free to tell me your story in the comments below or message me. But I'm going to kind of go through now what is enough, shame and guilt, some common areas we feel shame and not feel like enough. And then the 5 steps. And talk to you then about my program that I truly believe could be the thing that you need to kind of shift. And so enough, really, there's so many definitions of it, but one is as much or as many as required. It's sufficient. It's sufficient amount. Another word that is very opposite of feeling like enough is flawed, and that's a mark, a fault, or other imperfection that mars a substance or object. And then there's this word that we probably hear enough in the coaching world or mindset world. It's scarcity, a state of being in short or supply and shortage. So what do these 3 do? They all culminate into one main thing, and I think that is shame. And Brene Brown and Daring Greatly, she's amazing. You need to read her stuff. She talks about and defines shame as this intensely painful feeling or experience of believing that we are flawed and therefore unworthy of love and belonging. That something we've experienced, done, or failed to do makes us unworthy of connection. And at its core, she does a great job, but shame is the fear of disconnection. It's the fear of not belonging. It's the fear of saying, whether I have done this or done this, it's not enough. So before people shame me, I'm going to shame myself. And that's what we usually think and do, if we're really honest. It's different from guilt. Guilt is, I did something bad, while shame says, I am bad. And there are many different areas of our lives where we can feel shame and not feel like enough. And, I summarize it into about 7 different areas, but, Brene Brown has 12. And appearance and body image, money and work, motherhood, fatherhood, family, parenting, mental and physical health, addiction, sex, aging, religion, surviving trauma, and being stereotyped or labeled. And so if you take a step back, you're watching this with me live or on the replay or on YouTube, wherever it's going to go, I want you to ask yourself, what area of your life do you struggle to feel like enough and struggle for shame? I asked this in the Healthy and Thriving Women's Facebook group. I think a couple days ago, last week, did a poll. And I asked about, 7 or 8 areas. And these were the results. The highest area that the women in the group struggled to feel like enough was career, purpose, and calling. The second was emotions, then food, nutrition, health, and fitness. Then personal growth and development, then parenting, then relationships, then finances, then spiritual life, and then mindset. And I want you to take a moment in those areas: career, calling, emotions, food, nutrition, personal growth, parenting, relationships, finances, spiritual life, and mindset. Where do you struggle to feel like enough and to feel where you feel shame? And I kind of told you, honestly, I've struggled in all these areas. I'm not a parent yet, so maybe not that one. But in all of these areas, I have struggled at some point in my life or may still be struggling. And in some areas I've grown, like so food, nutrition, health, and fitness, I've grown in that. And at times I did a post about, sometimes in the gym I compare myself and all this stuff, but I've grown tremendously in that area. And then in personal growth, I've really paid a lot of attention to that career, purpose, calling. But sometimes I'm like, am I doing anything right in this area? Finances, it's like, budget, all this sort of stuff. I've had to face my finances, relationships and boundaries and spiritual life and mind. Like all of these, it's like rapid growth within the last year, rapid pruning. And it's painful to deal with it, to face it, but it's been the most freeing thing where I have learned and I've stepped out, and I'm learning to step out in confidence, saying I'm enough, I'm more than enough, I am capable, I'm more than capable, and telling myself until I really believe it, because it's true, I just need to believe it. So if you're watching, I really want you to take a moment and ask yourself that question. Where are you struggling to feel like enough? Because you need to understand, like, just pick, there might be multiple, just pick the highest one, the one that's giving you the most pain, the one that has, maybe you've buried for a while, but immediately the one that pops into your mind, because we're going to go through the 5 steps and we're going to use that area. Okay? The first step, courageous step, it's courageous because it's scary and you might feel fear about it, but you got to do it, is to identify your trigger. If you know what a trigger is basically something that triggers something. And so in the area of shame or not feeling like enough, what is your trigger? And for me, there's so many triggers, but let's say relationships. If someone says that they haven't seen me in a while, they might literally be, I haven't seen you in a while. I haven't talked to you. I really want to. But in my mind, sometimes, not all the time, depends on how good my emotions are in the moment. But I'm like, man, I should do better. Like, you're right, I should have made space. But the reality is, we all are busy. It's not like we're in high school all the time where we see each other every day, and that's like our whole world. Like, we have lots of things we're committed to, lots of things going on. So rather than being like, you know what, you're right, like, let's get together, sometimes I'm like, crap, like, I should have done better. You see? And you see the difference and the different emotions that's going to come out of that. The first one's going to be like, oh, yes, like, let's see each other, like, excitement. The second one's like, oh, man, actually, maybe we shouldn't see each other because I'm a bad friend or a bad family member. You know what I mean? Like, it elicits a different emotion because I'm having 2 different beliefs around it. And so what is that trigger for you in any of those areas? And then the second thing is identify your expectation or belief. What expectation or beliefs are driving that feeling of shame or not feeling like enough? And so for me, it's like, oh, hey, I need to be perfect. I always need to be on the bar. I always need to be one step ahead. I need to, like, always be like, yep, hung out with that person, got it. You know, like, I'm not trying to say people are something I need to take off my list, but you get what I'm trying to say, that, like, I have this expectation or belief that I need to always see everybody or always be on top of it, right? And that's just not true. There's no grace in that, right? So the first is identify your trigger in that area of enoughness and shame. Second is identify what is the real expectation and belief you have. Not what you want to, but what do you really feel. Third is you need to share it with somebody and get some support. Whether it is a trusted friend, whether it's your spouse, whether it's God, whatever it is, you need to share it and reach out for that support, especially when the shame pops up. And, you know, I do this a lot with, you know, my coach. I do this a lot with other coaches who are friends and and because the coaches understand, like, it's funny, we were as coaches together today, and it's just like, we're all just sharing all these things, and it's like, man, yeah, this is a safe place. And so you want to share and get support in a safe place. People are going to maybe, tell you the truth, but do it in love. Okay, so the first is identify your trigger of that area of enoughness and shame. Second is that expectation or belief. And third, get share support. And then fourth, hey, Melissa, you can rewatch it. You'll be able to rewatch it if you've missed some, because it's just going to still be on the page. So you'll be able to rewatch it. And then the fourth is to fight it. Okay, so you can't just pick, one of the ways that you can fight it is rewrite that belief. And, you know, I talked about this in the No Flaw Masterclass, is affirmations, is truth, is essential oils, all these things. But you need to find some practical way to combat it, because if it's a belief or expectation that has been there for a while, it's not just going to go away. It is a belief that you may have had since you were a kid, and it's years later. You need to rewrite that pattern of thinking, and you need to rewrite the science and the neurology part that, you know, triggers certain things to go to certain feelings and emotions. It's the science behind it. So what do you need to do? Is it sometimes people like practically, I need to remove myself from this situation, or I need to start saying some truth and listening to some loving words. I need to use something that's going to shift my emotion. Whatever it is, you need to fight it, because it's not going to shift unless you do some work. We all want to feel better, but you have to work towards it for sure. It's not an easy thing. So the first step was identify your trigger, identify the area you're not feeling like enough. Second is, what is the expectation or belief behind that? Third was get the support and share in a safe space with someone or some people. Fourth is to fight it. And the fifth is to repeat. Do all the steps in every area, but keep going until it becomes something you no longer feel like enough in that area. And that seems like, oh wait, but that's the hardest step. It's not like, okay, what's my trigger, my belief, share it, fight it, boom, done. No, you need to repeat it. Okay, this is my trigger, this is my, you need to repeat it until it becomes second nature for you to just feel like you're awesome. And sometimes it is hard to feel like we're awesome because you're like, is that humble? Maybe there is someone better. There's always someone better at something. You're going to find, it's like, I love what Brene Brown said in one interview she did. Like, I think it was with Maria Forleo. Like, if you go out there for a reason to not belong and feel like enough, you'll find it. You will find it because it's there. Because you already have in your mind, it's that is true. So you need to shift your mindset. Especially that's where it starts. So, if you're just joining, if you're watching the replay, just definitely go through these things. I shared my enough story. Then I shared some common shame stories. I shared different areas where we struggle to feel like enough. And then the 5 steps. Identify the trigger, identify the belief, identify the, sharing and supporting with someone, fight it, and then repeat. And then I want to invite you, if you are watching or you're going to watch this later, to the Flawed to Flourishing 6-month program. This 6-month program is a space to really master your thoughts and emotions and habits. It's not like all like just thought. We're going to actually do stuff to shift from like feeling like just frantic in life. Like it's not enough. I should be more organized. I should manage my finances. I should be out of debt. All these different things to know that and feel confident that maybe things aren't perfect, but you're doing the best you can, and who you are, what you do, and what you have is enough. My heart with this is to see a safe, supportive, and empowered space for women to truly share where they struggle and get the encouragement and support and tools they need to transform the way they view themselves, live their lives, and impact the world. And there are 7 areas, the different areas we've talked about. Food and body we're going to look at, and fitness, mindset, emotions, relationship with God, finances, relationships with others, and career purpose and calling. And depending on the women who join is the ones we'll go through at different times. But these are all areas, everything's allowed. So this program will include monthly group trainings by me or an expert on certain topics, those topics we talked about. Monthly group coaching sessions. So every other week, where we're just going to get a space. How are you doing? Where do you need support? What are you celebrating? And then a one-on-one coaching session each month for the 6 months, where you'll get a private space with me one-on-one to really go deeper and get the support you need. And then all of my trainings are available. All of them. Archive of training and resources and recipes and all that good stuff. And of course, there's a private Facebook group for accountability where you can share throughout the time, where you can go live. It's all there. An accountability partner and to get peer support. So the program will start in 2 weeks. I'm off island next week for a conference, so I wanted to do it when I make sure I'm back. And registration closes this Wednesday. The investment is $300 CI for all those in Cayman per month, or $399 US per month. And if you need payment plans, talk to me about that. Like, don't let that be the issue. But if you know that you are ready, and this is how you'll know if this is for you, if you're ready to shift, if you're ready to shift your thoughts, emotions, and habits from a place of lack to abundance in all of your life. If you're ready to let others in and move past the shame and fear that has held you back for so long. If you're ready to flourish in your relationship with food, your body, your finances, your career, with others. If you're ready to banish those negative thoughts holding you back and develop a mindset of truth, faith, and positivity and success. if you're ready to move forward and pursue your beautiful purpose and calling. If you're committed to change and transformation in your whole health and life, if you're ready to be held accountable and have a coach and a community of women to guide you, if you're ready to get support and encouragement, and maybe it's not for you. If you are, if you're looking for a quick fix in this area, it's not going to be quick. It's going to take time, but it's going to take time and love, which is what I hope and our Hope community can provide. If you just want to learn but not apply, it's not for you. If you're not willing to open up to others and help others, it's really this is for you if you're ready to change and you're ready to get the support you need to do that. And so if you're watching this and this resonated with you, please schedule a discovery call with me. I have slots open for Wednesday and have some for Thursday. Please try to do it earlier since registration closes Wednesday, but don't let that hold you back. I want to get and let's then have just a conversation to see if this is the program for you. So thanks so much for joining. Thanks so much for being here and watching the replay. And I just want to bless you and help you know that you're enough in every area of your life. And I want you to see it. And I want you to start flourishing. Okay, that's it for me. Reach out if you have any questions. Bye.